Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap. I hope all of you guys had a wonderful day. My day was all right. This is episode 45, and today is Monday. No, it's Tuesday, um, May 6th. Hope all you guys had a wonderful day. Not too much for me to yap about today. Didn't do much, just kind of went to school and, wrote the news recap, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started on today's news recap. We have quite a bit of topics to cover today. We have a topic on the Trump, or we have a section on the Trump administration. We have a section on Europe, and we have a section on the war between India and Pakistan, along with the other news section per usual. Um, yeah, for the most part, a lot of our news is coming out of the Trump administration segment, but that's kind of just how it goes because Trump likes to do his thing. But yeah, with that being said, let's get started. For the Trump administration segment today, we have 4 topics to cover. Pete Hegseth has made an order without Trump's knowledge. Carney and Trump had a meeting today. The Department of Education has stopped $1 billion in funding for school mental health programs, and the Supreme Court has allowed the transgender military banned temporarily. Pete Hegseth has made an order without Trump's knowledge. Pete Hegseth canceled military aid flights to Ukraine into a week into Trump's second term without his knowledge, according to Reuters. The defense secretary called off 11 Ukraine-bound planes carrying artillery shells and other weapons. Trump was completely unaware that Hegseth made the call, as the Transcom records show that the verbal order was from the Secretary of Defense, stopping the aid flights until February 5th. Caroline Leavitt said the White House press secretary, told reporters that on the matter that negotiating an end to the Russian-Ukraine war has been complex and fluid situation. We are not going to detail every conversation among administration officials through the process. She would go on to make a very large claim, saying the bottom of the line is the war is closer to an end today than it was when President Trump took office. How has Pete Hegseth not been fired yet? That might be arguably the most bizarre, thing from this administration. Of course, there's, a few other things, but, the fact that he has had a job for this long where he has fucked up time and time and time and time again, you'd think he wouldn't. In any other company, in any other job, if you mess up that many times, you're not going to have a position. But yet Pete Hegseth gets to sit in the chair and call himself the Secretary of Defense every day. Like, they fired Mike Waltz. We all thought Pete Hegseth was going to be next, but he still has a job. Don't even understand. I could never. Moving on. So, Mark Carney and President Trump have had their meeting today in the Oval Office. Trump and Carney's meeting today in the White House, where the two discussed Canada's independence, something you wouldn't expect to hear normally, but that's where we are, unfortunately, in the current political climate. Carney told Trump, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale. We are sitting in one right now, having met with the owners of Canada over the campaign the last several months. It is not for sale, won't ever be for sale, ever. Trump would respond to the Prime Minister, never say never, and the Prime Minister would look back at the camera and mouth the words never as reporters jumped to ask questions. They also discussed tariffs, as Trump talked about the U.S. manufacturing cars and steel rather than using Canada's. Carney would say on the matter, part of the way you conduct these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA, so it is going to have to change. Canada will never be a state. If it was, it would in no way support MAGA or the Trump administration and would likely just end up like another California being a liberal stronghold. There has been a growing movement within MAGA and even some Canadians for Alberta and maybe even BC and Yukon to be annexed, but that won't ever happen because those provinces are, essential to Canada, and it's honestly just not something that's possible or even really normal. Truly, um, it's just not going to happen. No other way to really put that one. Moving on, the Department of Education has stopped $1 billion in funding for schools' mental health programs. The Department of Education has stopped $1 billion in funding for school mental health. This will affect health workers, counselors, psychologists, and students receiving mental health assistance in school. The Department of Ed said they were terminating grants because of efforts they were funding were not advancing administration priorities. Maddie Bielderman, I don't know if that's how you say that. Genuinely cannot figure out how you pronounce that last name. Deputy Assistant Secretary, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Communications at the Department of Education said in a statement on the matter, grant recipients used funding to implement race-based actions, recruiting quotas in ways that have nothing to do with mental health, and it could hurt the very students the grants are supposed to help. Honestly, not really a lot of description in that one. Doesn't really say what they're doing specifically. It just says race-based actions, and I mean that can kind of also fit into mental health to some degree. Overall, this is horrible news. These programs benefit many students that I know, and benefit many students across the country that I don't know. I personally have had the opportunity to benefit from these programs. I have turned them down, but I do know they exist, and they are an option for students to use if they need them, and plenty of students do, in fact, use them. Mental health is important. Of course, we all have our own battles, so if you're struggling, don't forget to reach out because people do care. Also, going back to this Maddie Biederman person, um, why do these people have such long titles? Her title is Deputy Assistant Secretary for Communications at the Department of Education. Why is it so long? What is the point? I mean, like, that just sounds like a position you don't need. And maybe I'm wrong. I probably am. I don't know who this girl is. I don't know particularly what her job is. Um, but like having a title that long just kind of seems unnecessary for uh, any individual, really. Like, how many titles do you need? You have three titles essentially, because deputy is a title, assistant is a title, and secretary is a title. You have three titles put into one title. Like, what is the point there? What is the reasoning? Um, Seems like a waste to me. Um, not saying she should lose her job, but like unnecessary. Waste is the wrong word in there. I don't know why I use that. Seems unnecessary to me, that she should have such a long of a title. Moving on, the Supreme Court has allowed the transgender military ban temporarily. The Supreme Court has allowed Trump to implement his ban on transgender people serving in the military. This came after Trump made an emergency request to lift the nationwide injunction blocking the ban. Three liberal justices dissented in the vote, but according to the Defense Department data, there is over 4,000 people currently serving in the military, trans people currently serving in the military, my apologies, though some put the number even higher. There are around 2.1 million active service members in total. Trump's policy is much more than just a ban on transgender people from serving in the military, but according to General D. John Sawyer, it generally disqualifies from military service who have gender dysphoria or have undergone medical interventions for gender dysphoria. These moves are more than just banning transgender people from the military. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to serve, you should have the right to serve. Nobody should be able to be stopped from serving, whoever they are. And, I do know quite a few trans women, and a lot of trans women are very into the military and very into, weapons and weaponry and all those things. And I even know quite a few trans men who are interested in similar topics. I mean, honestly, and this isn't putting trans people as a whole, but there is a good group of trans people that know a lot about the military, know a lot about these equipment and the guns and all that. I mean, the transgender War Thunder community is insane. But like these people know so much, and you're just limiting them from an opportunity for not only something that they're interested in, but something they might be relatively very good at. And I just think that's dumb. I mean, trans rights are human rights. Nothing can ever change that, especially not an orange man in an office. But I mean, it's stupid to just remove all of these people who want to serve and expect other people to want to go into the military and serve. I mean, it's crazy. Not to mention the fact that if this happens, they will slowly, likely, start moving towards banning trans people, and that is not okay at all, and not and should not be able to happen. So call your representatives, call your congressmen, let them know that this is not something that we can allow, because transgender people deserve the right to live as much as anyone else does. And I mean, trans rights are human rights, and they always will be. And I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Moving on to the Europe segment, we have one topic for today. Merz has been elected chancellor on his second attempt of Germany. Thank you, Roger Rem, for this article. CDU leader Friedrich Merz has been elected chancellor on his second attempt. The 69-year-old achieved necessary majority of more than 316 votes in Bundestag this afternoon. 325 members voted for him, 289 against. There was one abstention. The governing coalition of the CDU/CSU and the SPD has 328 votes in parliament. In the morning, Merz had still missing the required majority in the first round of voting, a unique event in the history of the Federal Republic. He received only 310 yes votes in a secret ballot, 6 short of the required majority. When announcing the second round of voting, CDU/CSU parliamentary group leader Jens Stoltenberg made an urgent appeal to members of parliament in front of live cameras. All of Europe, perhaps the entire world, is watching this second round of voting. I appeal to everyone to be aware of this special responsibility. SPD leaders Lars Klingbeil simultaneously stated that he expected Merz to receive the required majority in the second round. The priority now is that we quickly elect the chancellor, Klingbeil emphasized as he referred to a grave situation, also the view of international situation. Friedrich Merz is a conservative, from what I've been able to find from my research, and he's not a part of the AfD, which is a plus, but he is still anti-LGBTQ and still does hold serves conservative values, which can be a problem to some degree, but he's not AfD, which is, I guess, arguably better. Still not the best, but arguably somewhat better. We shall see how he does in this term. But good luck to Germany, and let me know your thoughts on this one down below. If you're from Germany or not, let me know. Moving on, we have a very, very important section as war between India and Pakistan has essentially broken out. I don't believe there's been a formal declaration. I might be wrong about that, but it is escalating, and it has escalated to a point of just being a full-blown war at this point. We have two things to cover here today, but as we know previously, Pakistan did strike, the Kashmir area. Now for our topics, India has struck Pakistan in response to their previous attacks, and Because of that, it led to Pakistan shooting down 2 Indian jets. We're going to open up with India's strikes against Pakistan. India's armed forces have confirmed their targets against 9 sites in Pakistan. In a statement from India's military, they said, "A little while ago, the Indian armed forces launched Operation Sindoor, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. Altogether, 9 sites have been targeted." The statement said the actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature, and that no Pakistani military facilities were targeted. The current known casualties include 8 civilians, 1 being a child, 2 missing, and 35 injured. Ahmed Sharutrai, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, I know I am, a Pakistani lieutenant general said in a statement about the attacks, "Let me say it unequivocally, Pakistan will respond to this at a time and place of its own choosing. This heinous provocation will not go unanswered." This is a serious situation and could have very dangerous outcomes. Both countries are nuclear powers and do not like each other in any way, so it will likely be very hard to prevent this war. There are so many things that could happen or change the direction of not only the war, but global politics as a whole as we know it. Pakistan is backed by China, another country that does not like India, and if China joins, it will likely spark another world war. Hopefully, that won't be the case, but we will continue to watch the situation, and I will bring you as many updates as I can find. Moving on to the second part, Pakistan, in retaliation, has shot down at least two Indian jets. The Director General for the media wing of Pakistan's armed forces confirmed to The Guardian that 2 jets from India's Air Force have been shot down. "I confirm that we have shot down at least 2 Indian Air Force jets," said DG Lieutenant General Ahmed Charudhai. I know I'm saying that wrong. Again, my apologies. "We have shot down 1 jet in Bathinda, Indian Punjab province, bordering with the Pakistan Punjab province, and 2 jets in Indian-occupied Kashmir in Awantipora in Akanor. They were in their airspace after the attacks, and we had fired missiles," said the officials. This escalation between these two worries me, genuinely. This will be a very bad war. Very, very bad, and will likely kill a lot of people, unfortunately. I have 1 subscriber in India on Substack, so if you're reading this or if you're watching this, sorry for the call out, but stay safe. Hopefully you are able to remain safe in this time, and I hope you are able to not only continue, viewing my content, but continuing to pursue what you do in your day-to-day life. Good luck to all the civilians in both countries. I wish you both safety and security, because at the end of the day, civilians don't deserve to experience the impacts between tensions of other governments. Moving on to the final segment for today, we have one thing to talk about, as Allison Riggs has won her court case, allowing her to become the a member of the state Supreme Court. A federal judge has ordered the North Carolina State Board of Elections to certify Democrat Allison Riggs as the winner of the 2024 state Supreme Court election. U.S. Chief District Judge Richard Myers placed a 1-week hold on opposition Jefferson Griffin to appeal. This decision preserves Riggs as the 734 vote lead, over Griffin of more than just 5.5 million ballots. Congrats to Miss Riggs. She won the vote fair and square, and I'm sure she will do a great job, and I wish her luck. With that being said, that's all I have to cover today. Hope you all enjoyed today's news recap. I don't know what I'm going to yap about. I don't really think I have anything to yap about. I downloaded the Flight Track app today. It's actually quite interesting. So I downloaded this like flight track radar thing, and you can. I'm only bringing this up because I just heard a plane, but you can track the flights in your local areas. See, the plane just flew over me, and it left Salt Lake City. Wow. Oh, it's a marine plane. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? I'm not gonna dox myself here, but you can see that it's like a marine plane. I don't know if you can even read that. Hopefully that didn't dox myself. I don't think it did. Anyways, yeah, hope all you guys enjoyed watching today's video. If you're on YouTube, consider dropping a subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. We will get there eventually, soon. But yeah, thanks you everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for checking out the content on YouTube. We're growing pretty well over there. Gaining at least a few subscribers every day, which is pretty cool. Hope all of you guys enjoyed. Drop a subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment below if you're new on the tube. If you're on Substack, please consider pledging your support. All funds go to me. They help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like food, water. I don't got to pay for water. I don't know why I said that. Clothes, all the sorts of things. But if not, subscribing is always free. I appreciate all forms of support on my content. You guys mean the world to me. I truly wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you so much. But yeah, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Check out my Blue Sky. Link in the bio on both my Substack and my YouTube. It's where you get the announcements for these episodes dropping. And I also post random little tweets or whatever they're called on Blue Sky. Updates about my life or, just political things in general. So yeah, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all in the next episode tomorrow, I think. Later.